Hey guys, Ryan, also known as Halogen here for Squadron Media, and today we'll be talking about the top 10 McJuggerNuggets Psycho videos. Now, if you don't know what the Psycho series is, it's a series about a kid named Jesse who is growing up, and he wants to be a YouTuber for his career, but his dad does not want that to happen. So it's a scripted series that's basically a part of the freakout genre, so there's a lot of things being destroyed. There's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of major rage, but it actually has a story. It's one of the best YouTube drama series of all time, really, because it has an epic story. You know, you have the beginning, middle, and end. You have some really deep characters. You've got foreshadowing. It's a pretty awesome experience, and I miss the Psycho series. So today I will be counting down the top 10 videos in the entire series, some of which are vlogs, some of which are regular Psycho videos. So here we go at number 10. Coming in at number 10, we have Psycho Dad fights Aunt Melissa, or Aunt Melissa fights Psycho Dad. I prefer it in the first order, only because I still think of it as a Psycho video. So this one is an interesting one. This one actually features a confrontation between Aunt Melissa and Psycho Dad, two of the major antagonists at this point in the series. I found this really dramatic, really intense, but most of all, it was pretty funny, and I hate to say that. But seriously, this was something that was very, very crazy. Like, we sort of anticipated the fight, and a lot of people said that Jesse did this to please the fans, but come on, seeing Aunt Melissa confront Psycho Dad and seeing how tough she is was pretty awesome. It was one of the only times that we actually liked Aunt Melissa. Of course, she turned out to be even worse after this incident, but Aunt Melissa at this time was being a great friend to Terry and sticking up for her. Now, the violence was a little bit much, but I also liked seeing Jesse stand up for Aunt Melissa. It was one of those times where Jesse's character was actually likable, especially at this point in the series when, you know, he was starting to turn into a villainous character. But yes, this episode was pretty awesome. It was pretty funny, and it was a great point in the series. The thing that I have to say, though, is it was very sad as somebody who really likes Christmas, seeing all those Christmas lights get tangled up and all that. Seeing that Christmas tree potentially get damaged. How sad. Number 9. At number 9, we just have one of the most satisfying episodes of the entire series. Oh brother, where art thou? So if you guys don't know, there was a point in the series called the farming series where after Jesse couldn't get a job, his dad forced him to work at a farm which was managed by his Uncle Chris, who was sort of the worst version of Psycho Dad. At least that's what we thought for a period of time. So Jesse had to work for this man, and this man was very mean. He was mean to Korn, who's Jesse's cameraman, and he was just rude to Jesse, saying some nasty things. He really did not have a filter. And that's what a lot of fans loved about Uncle Chris, especially when Jesse is a very unlikable character, and he was written to be unlikable, especially around that point. He was lazy, he wasn't the best farmhand, but still. But Uncle Chris slowly started to like Jesse and gain an appreciation for him and gain more respect for him. And Uncle Chris's character went from being a major antagonist for this point of the series to being, you know, a supporting character that supported Jesse a little bit. Not really. He was still kind of rude to Jesse, and that was in his character. And that's something I like about this video. So this video is basically Uncle Chris confronting Psycho Dad about, you know, Jesse as a worker, and was trying to let Psycho Dad know that Jesse has to be out of that house because it could change Jesse. And that was something that was very good. Seeing Uncle Chris stand up for Jesse in front of his dad was something that, well, I wanted to see for a while actually, and I was hoping it was going to happen, you know. They always had a bad relationship. You could tell by the first video, and you could tell by the way they talked about each other. They don't have a good relationship with each other. They don't necessarily fight, they just aren't on the best of terms. They often talk about how they owe each other a lot of things, which was good for this series, and it was good to see, you know, Uncle Chris finally stand up for Jesse, and, you know, it made us think, yeah, Uncle Chris isn't all that bad of a guy. Like, sure, he was kind of a jerk to Jesse. Even in this video, he was kind of a jerk to Jesse, but, you know, seeing him care about Jesse, he showed more emotion in this video than he ever had, and this sort of was what made Uncle Chris go out of the picture, and this sort of was the end of the farm. Slowly, by the end of the series, and I'll talk about this on a lot of the videos, a lot of Jesse's closest friends, supporters, and family members slowly exited his life, and that was what built up to the finale. And I think this is the video that was where Uncle Chris exited from his life. But anyways, this was an awesome video. It's definitely good to check out, seeing Uncle Chris confront Psycho Dad. Number 8. Coming in at number 8, we have Save Yourself. Now, this was one of the most emotional episodes of the entire show. A lot of people really enjoyed this episode, and not necessarily for being funny or being crazy or just being downright goofy or enjoyable. No, this episode is one of the saddest episodes of the whole thing. This was, I think, the last episode that featured Terry, his mom, and it was a great closing to their relationship in the series. You know, Jesse had to get out of that house, and Terry knew that. Terry escaped, because let's face it, Psycho Dad Jeff, he becomes more and more of a monster as the series goes on, and so does Jesse. It was interesting seeing Terry, you know, realize that he's becoming like his father, and for a while we thought she was kind of crazy, her and Aunt Melissa, and that they were rude, but they were right all along. Jesse was becoming a psychopath, and it was interesting to see this. They also had that emotional note in this video, and I felt that was sort of one of the last times that we truly sympathized with Jesse as a character before he became a complete monster. Now, of course, we still do have the issue with Dema. Dema was pretty cringeworthy and pretty frustrating at this point in the series, but a lot of people didn't realize, especially those who didn't know that it was fake at the time. I did know that it was fake. A lot of people thought that he was just being goofy, or he thought it was funny or something. But no, Dema was part of his mental illness. It was part of the schizophrenia that a lot of people have theorized Jesse's character got at the end. And it made sense. Dema was a true monster just looking at it. And, you know, people are right. He was sick. It was weird for him to be bringing around this doll and talking to it about his life problems, and it gave him the advice. But you know something? It was a great part of the series. But back to Save Yourself. I thought this was a really emotional episode, and just a really great one. It was a great part of the story, and if I remember correctly, it is actually his mom's favorite episode of the entire series. And I think it's one of Jesse's too, if I remember correctly. Anyways, let's move on to number 7. Coming in at number 7, we have the entire finale. Now, this is a little bit weird considering this is 2 episodes, but I'd basically consider them one, and I'll be doing that with one other entry on this list. I'll be considering 2 episodes one. But the finale was pretty awesome. It had a few flaws in my opinion, but what a great way to end the series. A lot of people made jokes about, you know, Jesse murdering his father and all. That was actually a common, you know, running joke. People were saying, oh yeah, Jesse's gonna kill his father, he's gonna bomb the house, or something goofy like that. But I don't think a lot of people expected that to be the conclusion, you know, for him to actually shoot his father. That was pretty crazy. Of course, it was spoiled by the title, but I thought, you know, it was an insane video from start to finish. The culmination of their 2 characters, you know, Jeff, Psycho Dad, being a full-on psychopath, not even feeling fear or anger or anything towards Jesse, just saying he's a disappointment, and Jesse just ready to blow, you know. I really like Jeffrey's role in the first part of the finale. That was probably my favorite thing about the entire finale, you know, when he said that he had 5 minutes before he was going to call the cops. I thought that was a very good use of his character, and that, yeah, he still sympathized for Jesse, and he was still giving Jesse the best shot, but at the same time, Jesse killed his father, and Jeffrey never really had a problem with Psycho Dad, so I thought that was great. Now, the second part of the finale is pretty good, too. I like the opening, even though it's a little weird. I did like the music. Juliet really killed it with Battle Cry, great song. And, of course, the ending was really good. It went on a little bit long, but it was realistic. He was giving his last speech to his fans, to his juggies. Jesse, as a character, never saw them again. He hasn't talked to them since. So I thought that was a great way to end it. And then that snap, and then him going to hug his family. That was great. It was a great way to let all those who didn't know it was fake, let them know that it was fake. Number 6. What I Couldn't Do. Holy guys, this was an awesome episode. Yes, it had a problem with it, but that thing could be a good or bad thing. We'll discuss that in a bit. Alright, so in this episode, Jesse goes to check up on Uncle Larry. This happened after the pool incident, which we'll talk about later in this video. But basically, just to let you guys know, Uncle Larry hit his truck into Psycho Dad's pool, and then we will talk about that later on a separate entry, like I said before. But on this video, it's really weird. It's dark from the very beginning. I felt something about it just seemed like something was gonna go down, and something went down, but not in the way we thought. See, when Jesse arrives at his Uncle Larry's place, he talks to Uncle Larry, and Uncle Larry reveals something to him that was very shocking. He revealed that he was planning on killing Psycho Dad. This was I could just tell how shocking this was for Jesse, and I almost felt bad for him. Although at this point he was starting to turn into a monster, but Jesse was still morally confused. He wasn't a full-on psychopath at this point. But it was just jaw-dropping. I didn't actually think that's what Larry was doing, trying to kill him. He said he had a clear view of him, but he just couldn't do it. Wow. And then, of course, the real reason this makes the list, though, is Tom's speech. Now, Tom's speech, that was crazy. He berated Jesse, but all of it was true. It was one of the best "reason you suck" speeches I have heard in a while from something. That was also the end of Uncle Larry and Tom in the series. That was what took them out of the series. That was probably one of my favorite arcs in the entire Psycho series, was when they had each character slowly go out of his life, because all those videos are dramatic, and a lot of those videos are on this list. A large number of those videos are, like I said before, yeah, they're on this list. Like, for this is Uncle Larry and Tom's. The finale was Psycho Dad's exit. We're gonna have Corn's exit. We had Save Yourself, which was his mom's exit. It's interesting how all these characters exited out of his life. Now, I mentioned a problem, and that problem, I have to go back to it, is when Uncle Larry said he was gonna murder Psycho Dad. Honestly, I didn't necessarily think that it was that necessary, because here's the thing. Larry, I liked the fact that he was slowly becoming a psychopath too, but I didn't think that that was the best transition. I found it a little bit rushed. I could totally see Larry already being a psychopath hitting his truck into the pool. I didn't think it was necessary to make him a mass murderer. Well, he wasn't really a mass murderer, but he had the look of a mass murderer, and he was actually planning on killing Jeff, which was kind of scary. But yes, this episode, while it did have a problem, was still great. Number 5. Psycho Family Halloween. What an episode. I really enjoyed this one, guys. This one was awesome. This was the Halloween special of McJuggerNuggets, and it did not disappoint. Seeing all of the characters dressed up in their perfect costumes was awesome. Corn dressed up like a corn cob. That made sense for multiple reasons. For one, his name was Corn, but it also just made him just seem more like a jokester character, which I liked. He is a goofy guy. He is a lighthearted character, you know. I liked it how he was a corn cob. And I also liked it how he didn't dress up like a superhero like supervillain comic book character, really. Like 3 of the other major characters did. It shows that Corn isn't part of the family, and he also doesn't necessarily go along with everything, which is something I like. Jesse plays the Joker. That's awesome. He's a psychotic prankster. He doesn't really think about his actions, you know, and he's going to become a full-on psychopath later in the videos. He also looks the part and acted the part extraordinarily well, which is something that I like. I found it funny how everyone said Jesse's actually a good actor, but he's actually acting as an actor playing the Joker. I thought that was pretty awesome. And then, of course, we have Jeffrey, JT, plays Batman. Pretty fitting. They're pretty calm, but also angry. They have dark pasts, you know, but they're fairly smart, fairly wise. And then, of course, we have his dad is the Hulk, you know, Hulk smash. His dad smashes things. Although, to be fair, the Hulk is often considered as misunderstood, and some of McJuggerNuggets' fans considered Psycho Dad to be misunderstood, at least at this point in the series. And his mom plays an angel because, of course, she never did any wrongs in the series, at least not at that point. But yes, this video is awesome. Not only do I like their costumes, but I really just enjoy the shtick between them. I like the chemistry between the characters in this. I like the results. I like the fireworks. I liked everything about this episode. What a Psycho video. Number 4. 4. At number 4 we have, this is one of my all-time favorite Psycho videos, and for good reasoning. It's awesome. Now, the damage in this is just some of the most funny yet shocking. When he hits the pool, I was not entirely expecting that. And the Psycho Uncle video, I'm like, he's not really a psycho, but he is. In this video, Uncle Larry is actually a psychopath, which is pretty startling, I have to admit. Now, besides that, I found this video very great. It was one of the last appearances of Uncle Larry, and one of the best appearances, because it really showed how his character is, you know? Yes, he tried to murder Psycho Dad. We didn't know that back then, but we did after what I couldn't do, but you know something? That was something that just... I'm sorry. Him trying to murder Psycho Dad, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But either way, it was interesting for the story. It was interesting that Uncle Larry actually was another psychopath in the end, you know? I guess he was sort of our 4th psychopath we had. Number 3. Coming in at number 3 is one of my personal favorites, Psycho Kid's Birthday Bash. This episode was, well, one of the funniest episodes of the entire series. A lot of us started watching the Psycho series because it was supposed to be funny. Rage is something that people find funny, you know, freakouts, breaking stuff. It's comedy, really, and that's what the Psycho series sort of started out as. Eventually, it became more of a dark drama that dealt with mental illness, divorce, alcoholism, all kinds of stuff like that. But at this point, it was more of a comedy series. Now, of course, each of the family members gave their gifts. Well, Corn's not a family member, but he got Jesse ping pong balls. Jeffrey had my favorite role of all of the people in this episode. That was, of course, giving Jesse dog poop in a Victoria's Secret bag. And then Terry was actually nice, and she got him, you know, a Wii U. But, of course, Psycho Dad had to break it. And this episode has one of my favorite scenes of the entire series. And that is when, after he gets his Wii U broken, when Jesse's outside, Jeffrey comes out and says, "Hey, you forgot your present," and it's the dog poop in the bag. That was really funny. That was a great moment, and a lot of McJuggerNuggets fans agreed with me. That was hilarious. But overall, Psycho Kid Birthday Bash is an awesome episode, and if you want to laugh, this is one of the funniest episodes out there. Number 2. At number 2, we have The Harvest. One of the most intense, darkest, saddest, and just best episodes of the entire series. So, in this episode, it follows after the episode which is Psycho Dad Watches McJuggerNuggets, which is one of my personal least favorite episodes of the entire series. But in that episode, Jesse blames Corn for the uploading and filming of his videos, and there's a major problem with that, of course, that being Corn didn't upload them. So of course Corn leaves, he's mad at Jesse, and this episode is where Jesse tries to reunite with Corn and to settle their differences. But ultimately, I think things get worse. While Corn becomes friends with Jesse again, he is never allowed to see Jesse again, and of course Psycho Dad does not want to see him on his property. It's a really intense episode. It features a chase, it features Dema, and the very end is very shocking. Let's just say Jesse is now forced to film his videos in that one little tight closet room. Yeah. But overall, this video transitioned us from, you know, the period between the survival series and the end to the, you know, the final part where he was going crazy. The second survival series to the end. This was a very big transition episode. Transitioned Jesse basically from being, you know, slightly normal, a little bit weird, to being full-on insane by the end. And that is what I thought was great about this episode. This is one of the saddest and darkest episodes, but ultimately it's one of the best and most intense. And the number 1 video in McJuggerNuggets Psycho series is Psycho Brother, Stomps Glasses, and Prisoner of War. Now these are 2 videos, part of, you know, one Psycho video, I guess, because you've got the Psycho update. And holy, this was a phenomenal set of videos, okay? I'll tell you why. This was the point in the series where it transitioned from being a comedy series, you know, with videos like Psycho Dad Shreds Video Games, Psycho Dad Destroys Xbox, and Psycho Kid's Birthday Bash, to a full-on drama. This was what led up to the divorce. This was what led up to everything. This is just a turning point in the entire series. This is one of the first times Jeffrey as a character was made likable. He isn't just a jerk like we were led on to believe. He was a full-on character who just had an unfortunate family, and it was great to see them discussing things. It also showed that Jesse isn't entirely the smartest, and that the beer bottle was not necessary. You know, he's a bit of a coward when it comes to fighting, and this episode really showed that, you know, the way that Jesse acted. I also like the darkness of the forest. It actually does a very good job at setting the tone for the episode. You know, you can see the shade of all the trees with all the big shadows covering everything. I thought it was great. I thought the way that this whole thing was set up and the way it ended was awesome, and it was just one of the best videos in the Psycho series. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you guys haven't watched the Psycho series yet, check it out. It's pretty awesome. A lot of videos, but it's really good. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm Ryan, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.